My brother texted me for words I'll never forget. "You're not family anymore," just like that. A lifetime of shared birthdays, secrets, and trust disappeared in a single sentence. But he had no idea, by the end of the week, the $2.1 million he needed for his dream wedding would be frozen, and the life he thought he'd built would crumble in ways he couldn't even imagine. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or betrayed by someone you loved, hit that subscribe button right now, like this video and comment below if you're ready to witness a story of revenge so precise it's almost surgical. Let's dive in. I remember the moment vividly. It was a quiet Thursday evening, the kind where the sun dips low and casts long shadows across the living room. I had just returned from work, exhausted, when my phone buzzed. A single notification, a text from my brother. I didn't even think twice. I knew it would be trivial, something about borrowing money, or bragging about his latest accomplishment. Instead, it hit me like a punch to the chest. For words, carefully chosen, cruel. "You're not family anymore." The room spun. I dropped onto the couch, my hands trembling, heart racing. I read it over and over, trying to convince myself that this had to be a joke. But I knew him, he never joked about this kind of thing. He had just disowned me with a text. For words, that was it. My stomach churned, and I felt this tight knot of rage building in my chest, a mixture of disbelief and fury that made it hard to breathe. For years, I had been the responsible one, the sister everyone leaned on, quietly keeping the family together while he chased reckless ventures. And now, in one cruel, thoughtless sentence, he had erased me. I couldn't respond immediately. The words "not family" echoed in my head, taunting me. I paced the room, thinking of all the times he had laughed at my careful budgeting, mocked my frugality, and treated me like I was weak. And then the thought came sharp, precise, irresistible. If he thinks he can treat me like this, maybe it's time he sees who he's really dealing with. I knew exactly where to start. We shared a joint account, a legacy from our parents, meant to be used responsibly, and until now I had always been cautious. I logged in and froze the funds. $2.1 million, every last dollar earmarked for his lavish wedding. And then I waited. At first, there was confusion. A flurry of frantic texts. "What's happening? I can't access the funds. Call the bank now." I didn't answer. I let him stew in his panic, imagining the beautiful wedding he had meticulously planned, the flowers, the catering, the designer dress his fiancé had chosen. I could almost see it unraveling before me, thread by thread. Then came the threats. His fiancé sent me a text, polite at first, then increasingly desperate. "If you don't release the money, we will sue. This isn't fair. You're ruining our lives." I smiled at my phone. Fair, I thought. Fair was never on his mind when he called me not family. Fair was never on his mind when he dismissed my advice, ignored my warnings, and treated me like a child. I responded, coolly and with methodical precision. "If you'd like to proceed, bring every receipt, contract, and invoice proving where the money went. Otherwise, enjoy the show." And then the real fun began. I started going through every transaction in the account. Tuition for nieces and nephews, family emergencies, unexpected repairs, medical bills, months of household expenses. I pulled out the evidence, meticulously documenting each transaction with timestamps, notes, and receipts. I created a paper trail that was flawless, undeniable, and damning. When I presented it, the reaction was exactly what I hoped for. They had assumed the money was theirs, ready to be spent without accountability. Suddenly, every lavish wedding plan, every expensive gift they had promised to vendors, every expectation of opulence crashed against the reality I laid bare. And my brother, he turned pale, his confident arrogance, the same arrogance that had made him believe he could insult me and get away with it, evaporated in an instant. You can't do this," he stammered, voice shaking. "I already did," I replied softly. And I meant it. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The power of precision. Revenge doesn't scream, it hums quietly, lethal in its subtlety. The week that followed was like watching a slow-motion collapse. Vendors called, panicked. His fiancé's parents were furious. The wedding planner demanded explanations. Every extravagant plan they had counted on dissolved in the clarity of accountability. The money wasn't gone, it was documented. Frozen, undeniable, but without access. It might as well have been. And through it all, I remained calm. I didn't need to text him again. Every frantic call, every angry message from his fiancé, every tearful plea from him was a testament to the consequences of underestimating me. I watched as the people, who had supported his dreams silently, acknowledged the truth. That responsibility had been ignored, and the consequences were unavoidable. There's a strange satisfaction in that moment, the kind where you feel the universe aligning with your sense of justice. By the end of the week, the wedding plans were scrapped, contracts were broken, and the $2.1 million remained frozen. My brother, who had once sneered at me for being too cautious, was forced to face the reality of what happens when arrogance meets accountability. I didn't feel cruelty, I felt justice. And in that moment, I realized something profound about betrayal and family dynamics. It's not always the loudest voices that hold power. Sometimes it's the quiet, Meticulous, careful minds that change everything. I saw him the next weekend, at a family gathering that now felt awkward and hollow. He avoided my gaze, his usual confidence replaced with shame and resentment. I simply smiled, knowing that the tables had turned completely. I wasn't celebrating his failure, I was honoring my own integrity. He had underestimated me, dismissed me, and tried to erase me. I didn't just fight back, I did so in a way that was undeniable, irrefutable, and proportionate. By the time he finally understood, the lesson had already been absorbed. Actions have consequences, words have power, and trust once broken is never easily restored. This isn't just a story about money or weddings, it's about self-respect, justice, and holding people accountable. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't chaos or anger, it's clarity, precision, and showing someone the full weight of their own actions. If you've ever felt underestimated or betrayed, share your story in the comments. I want to hear how you've turned the tables. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that justice can be quiet, methodical, and absolutely satisfying. Remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply showing the truth.